Okay. Let's see if we are live yet. Well, yes. Okay, we are live.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the July Stitch and Bitch, where we work on our crafts and talk about, frankly, just completely random stuff sometimes. Hello, everybody. Uh-oh, I think I'm not muted. Hang on.
That might have been me.
Oh, was it you?
Okay. I was pulling it up and I didn't mute quite fast.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I had the other tab muted. Okay, well, first, Bree usually joins us, but we're not sure if she's got time today, so she may pop in if she has time. Otherwise, you could just get us three, and we may go a little bit shorter than our usual 2 hours, since it's just the three of us. So we'll do introductions. I'll start with me. I'm Rachel. We're on my channel, Collinati, so you probably already know who I am. I do a lot of knitting, and I talk about books all the time. So, Diana?
Hi, I'm Diana. My channel is Bookish Die, where I also talk about books, and the disembodied tale belongs to Resident Void Luke.
Because we always have cats making an appearance.
Yes, hopefully. Oh no. Yeah, I'm Reija from the channel The Book Pinch, and I immediately need to go see what Mosfet is doing because he has upended my paper trash can.
Uh-oh. All right.
Buddy, I just combed you. You're already shedding so much.
That's what happens when you have fur.
I know. Unless you're like a poodle. Those things don't shed at all. Or like minimal shedding.
I have dust bunnies blowing around my bedroom right now, and I'm like, I need to vacuum.
I vacuumed my living room yesterday, and like I know I'm gonna have to do it again in a couple of weeks, but like it's right now.
I don't know where my dog is. I think she's probably in the bedroom. Usually she's underneath the desk, but not today apparently. So we're probably not going to get an Ava appearance.
I don't know if Leia's going to show her face. Right now she's just gazing wistfully outside.
The entire paper trash can. We'll probably have to put it up somewhere because they will probably go and wreck it if I leave it. Be right back.
Okay. Well, let's talk about what we are currently working on. Do you want to go ahead, Diana?
Sure. I'm still working on the book blanket. My goal is, I think, by the end of the summer to finish this thing.
This is the one you're knitting it in strips, and then
yeah. So I am working on strip 5. So after this, I'll have 4 more strips to go, and then I have to sew it together.
I feel like you made a lot of progress since last time you showed it.
Yeah, I've started knitting again during meetings. Mm-hmm. So like I still have other unfinished projects, and I'm trying to finish some stuff up before starting anything new. Or
Me too, yeah. What is that, Reija?
I have to give them kibble so that they will leave me alone.
Oh. All right, well, I'll talk about what I'm working on. I really shouldn't be knitting brioche when I have my mind on other things, but I'm doing it anyway today because I just really, really want to get this thing done. So this is the shawl that I am knitting. It's very bunched up, so I can't show it super well, but yeah. So I'm about 2/3 done with the 3rd section, so I'm really, really hoping to finish it next week. But it's the slow going. And this is the Hedge Maze shawl, which is by Julia Decker.
How
and
many?
It is
amazing.
Really fun. Yeah.
How many sections are there?
There are just 3. So there's the the little one down here, and then that section, and then this bigger motif at the end. So
Nice.
yeah, it gets increasingly complicated, and there's no way I can memorize these charts. Usually I'm pretty good at memorizing brioche charts because I think it's really easy to read your knitting when you've got brioche. You can really see the stitches and that design and everything. So it's easy to tell like when you're going to do all of your decreases and increases and stuff. But this is a really more like organic and kind of random motif. It's based on like twigs and branches and stuff. That's why I think it looks so cool, but I can't just look at it and remember what row I need to do next. So yeah. Okay, Ray, do you want to talk about what you're working on?
I am continuing with my cyber alpaca. I haven't been able to continue it after our last stitch and bitch, so I have the nose part that's gonna be like the little like muzzle, and then now I'm working on the head and neck part, which is gonna be one continuous part. But I have been trying to get used to my current like work routine. So I haven't been able to like basically every day that I get home from work, I just immediately almost go to sleep because I get so tired.
Oh, and all that social interaction and the new schedule, it's exhausting, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like the sheer, like because you're trying to, even though it's like basically working on a computer, so you wouldn't think that it's that straining, but you're constantly like figuring out things with your brain and like learning new tasks. So it's been a lot. I'm hoping that in a couple of weeks I will get used to it and it won't be as tiring. Yeah,
and you figure out when your pockets of free time are and that whole schedule. Yeah. Were you making the little bees last month? Was that last month?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you made any more of them. They were really cute.
I made 2 more and I need to make some. I have a plan that I will make like these bees, and then I will do like these flowers with happy faces, and then like do like a bunting.
Bunting? Were you gonna do a mobile?
Yeah.
Okay.
But similarly, you can put it on the wall and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I like that idea with the little flowers. That's cool. That'll be like they're actually flying.
Yeah, and I have this idea that I could make one to put in Bree's baby box.
Yeah.
With like various different kinds of colors.
You're making me like really want to do some amigurumi, which I've never done before. I find it like really daunting for some reason.
That's actually like, you just need to be able to crochet like really tightly.
Yeah.
So that there are no gaps. Usually it's recommended that if your yarn uses like a 3.5 crochet hook, then you would use like 2.5 instead.
Go down
in order to get like a really tight gauge.
Yeah. I think I'm just scared of like how much sewing or shaping might be involved in such a tiny thing, I guess.
I have mostly used patterns that require no sewing, where basically you just crochet and attach things by way of crocheting so that you don't have to sew things. This elephant has been the only thing that has actually, where I had to do sewing. I had to sew the hands and the ears, but the head was done as one piece and the body was done as one piece.
Okay.
It's so cool.
I love it.
I've seen some of like the gigantic octopus amigurumi.
Yeah, I know.
They are so cool. I'm really tempted to make.
I have so many different amigurumi projects that I want to do, but it's just the time. Also, like, I think the most daunting thing with amigurumi is that you need to count so much. Yeah.
Like right
I
now.
I'm trying to see if I did two single crochet on the okay. Yeah, it's like trying to see what I've done on black yarn.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just looking at the chat. H. Reed says they're currently frogging a project. I feel that pain. Yes.
What is frogging?
It's when you rip out a whole big part of your project.
No.
I guess tinking is when like you go back stitch by stitch, and frogging is when you just rip the whole thing apart.
That with the sweater because I did it incorrect. I did the yoke incorrectly. So I had to just completely go back to the collar.
Like recently or
no, this was back when I started it. I think I actually did that when I was in Canada for Christmas. I've been working on this sweater for a very long time. Because I mean right now I just like don't want to work on the sleeve, so I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I mean I still have the ranunculus sweater waiting for me to continue, and I think that I actually will have to rip it apart and start again because it's been so long since I tried it the last time that I don't remember how to continue. And it's frustrating because, as you, Rachel, must remember, I ripped it out at least like 6 or 7 times in order to...
That, of like all the things I've made, ranunculus is easy once you get past that cast on, but the cast on, especially if you're using like lace weight yarn, is a nightmare.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, just like thinking about the whole thing is like once I get used to the idea that, okay, in order to continue on with that project, I will just have to face my fears and just rip it out and start again, it will probably be easier. And it would probably be less daunting than actually trying to figure out how to continue on where I left off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yep. Or you could do the little trick that I do, which is if I have a problem, I ask my mother to start it for me.
Okay, here's
what I do with sewing projects all the time.
I'm across the and in a different country, so that works.
I can't do that with my mom because my mom is a beast when it comes to like some of the most traumatizing crafting related incidents have been my mom ripping out my socks over and over again because I couldn't do that like the perfect gauge.
Yeah.
And so she would be happy to tear it apart and
she
then make me start over.
Give it back to you.
No, she'd make me start over, watch as I struggle, and then rip it apart again as many times as it took for me to get it right. Oh, like, that would not be a pleasant experience. Like, my mom is Savo-Karelian. There is no mercy in those households. Like, it's like the full-on Eastern European, like...
No mercy with the knitting.
No mercy, never.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have to do it yourself.
So apparently it was the neck of a balaclava that they were ripping out. That's not too bad. It's not as traumatizing as like ripping out an entire sweater, but it's still disappointing. I have frogged an entire garment that was finished before. And it was kind of fun to do, actually. But it was like, oh, I spent all this time making something that I wore once, and then it was like a complete waste of time.
So what are people reading?
Yeah. Well, should I talk quickly about Bro.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about Bro.
Yeah. Okay. So last month we said we were going to do a group read of the new Beowulf translation by Mary Devonna Headley. It's nominated in the Best Related Work category of the Hugos this year. So if you have access to the Hugo Voters Packet, it is in there for people to read. Most of us haven't started really reading it yet, so we're just going to delay that until next month and give everybody a chance to start it and read more of it. I have read like 25% of it, and it's actually a really cool translation. So it is worth picking up, I would say.
I have read the first paragraph when I opened my PDF to check that it was okay.
Yeah, I will say if you're going off the Hugo packet, do not bother with the ebook versions because they are both terribly formatted. Go with the PDF. The PDF.
Yeah. It's a bit of a hassle for me because I'm reading the PDF on my computer, so I have to sit down in front of my desktop to actually read it. But it's so much easier than the mobile file. So, though to be honest, I'm enjoying it enough that I kind of wish that I had just gone out and bought like the paperback because it would have been a better reading experience. And I am enjoying it. And
I'm wondering if I should still do that.
I honestly
think it'd be worth it.
I borrowed an ebook copy from my library so I could just read it on my e-reader.
That's what I want to do. My library didn't have it. So
my library has it, but like everyone and their mother seems to be wanting to read it. So I'm on the hope list at like 10th place. And I think
this is Pierce be wigging out. Oh my god! I mean,
my Twitter feed.
Because I do love the idea of like with translating it not as a way of modernizing it and introducing it to people who might otherwise be off put from the people trying to adhere to the traditional language.
Right.
Like, I'm very excited to read it. I just haven't gotten
to it. And also like I am personally like I love translations and I love translation, the work of translation in like an academic sense and stuff. And I am one of those people who doesn't believe in canon translations. Like I think that the more translations we get of a single work, the better, because you get a better understanding of the work the more people translate it in different ways. Because no single translator can. First of all, there's no such thing as a fully accurate representation of what the text is in general. So the whole purist thing is very ironic to me because like there is no such thing. And there's the same thing, like, you know, how people take Shakespeare and are like super, like, Shakespeare is super highbrow. I kind of want like Shakespeare reinterpretations into like modern language to fully like sell all the poop jokes and bawdy humor that he's known for.
Like, why do people think that Shakespeare is highbrow? He was literally writing for
old,
you know,
old. And it was performed for royalty. Honestly, one of my favorite Shakespeare adaptations that uses the language is Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet. Like the staging on that and the choices that were made were just so, because honestly, it does such a good job of capturing the fact that it's like so high paced and that these making
and also John, it has the best Mercutio.
Oh, hands down.
Hands down, it has the best Mercutio. And also teenaged me was very enamored with John Leguizamo as Tybalt. Like he was hot.
He was,
and I don't usually look at men that way. I mean, but like I was, like my heart was moved.
Yeah. Wow, it sounds like I should watch this. I didn't know this existed.
Oh, it's so good. There was like discourse. There's like Twitter discourse because someone's like, "This is a real adaptation." Someone and it's like, "Yeah, it's a good adaptation." Okay,
it is. It is. It is like it is one of my favorite Romeo and Juliet adaptations ever.
Yeah, Luhrmann did such a good job of like getting Shakespeare's like the campiness that can be Shakespeare, but also the fact, like the tragedy and the comedy, and it's very well done. I would also say for like a more modern adaptation and is the web series Nothing Much to Do. It's a vlog style adaptation of Much Ado, and it is very good. It I think is the better, like if we're talking about like vlog style adaptations of literary works, it is better than the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. Because
I mean, I watched the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, but I kind of lost interest because I just hated basically when the Wickham character was introduced. That's the moment where I started losing steam.
I like most of the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. I cannot stand how they handled the Lydia arc. They literally chose the most regressive way to go about it because in the original, Lydia is not broken. She is very much still Lydia after all of that. Like she doesn't, like she's still a 15-year-old girl who sees.
And from her perspective, she gets what she wants.
Exactly.
And nothing's bad.
Yeah, and like the text, implies that her and Wickham don't necessarily have a happy marriage, but she like goes and visits her sisters all the time and like that. But with the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, it felt like they went out of their way to punish and break Lydia in a way that wasn't there in the original. And they had her whole thing with Wickham be a sex tape that he was releasing, which again, they chose the grossest and most regressive way.
Wow.
Ew. Okay. Yeah.
Now I don't even want to like finish watching it because I never got to the Lydia arc in that sense.
Bad. And it's like there was Discord, there was like posts on Tumblr talking about ways they could have done it better. And the one that I really liked was, so in the adaptation, Wickham is a swim coach. And so someone was like, well, maybe he could have been smuggling drugs and like performance enhancing drugs, and he gets Lydia involved. And like, that's a way to bring in the real threat that the Bennets faced in the original with societal disgrace, where, civil criminal, the forfeiture that the police, they'll seize your stuff. Like that could have been a way to go about it, where you could have those real stakes that wasn't gross and slut shamey.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have like a whole rant about how badly the Lizzie Bennet Diaries failed to modernize Lydia.
I didn't know anything. I watched some of the beginning of it and I was enjoying it, but I kind of drifted away from it. So it's good to know that. I feel like I'm not missing out on a huge thing anymore.
But yeah, Nothing Much to Do, I think, handled the hero Claudio arc better. And I really enjoy Nothing Much to Do because it also very much feels like high schoolers were making it. Yes, 10 Things I Hated About You is top tier adaptation.
It's great. It's great.
I could not believe how good of an adaptation that was. When I was reading The Taming of the Shrew, I asked people like their recommendations for like I need to see a performance of this, but I really kind of hate the play. Is there something that makes it good? Be like 10 Things I Hate About You, and they were right. It was good.
10 Things I Hate About You is a top tier adaptation.
Yeah. The scene where Heath Ledger sings the Barry Manilow song is that scene.
I love it. That was like honestly one of the first things I watched on Disney Plus. I watched the first episode of Mandalorian and then I watched 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh my. So we were talking about Beowulf originally.
Well, I mean, we weren't actually getting off topic since it's an adaptive translation, and we transitioned to talking about adaptations. So
But to come back full circle, we will be talking more about Beowulf in the future. And if you haven't gotten on to the Headley translation, totally recommend it based on what little we've read of it so far. So yeah, join us for that. It begins with bro. Okay, now let's talk about what we're currently reading. Rhea, do you want to go first?
Oh, well, I just finished this today, which is Delicious in Dungeon, Volume 9 by Ryoko Kui, one of my favorite ongoing manga series. This volume introduces this where's my finger? This character's backstory and gives like interesting insights into the lore of the dungeon system, how the dungeons come to be in this world, how they are governed, what attracts adventurers into these dungeons. And I just love how Ryoko Kui reinvents monsters. Like succubi in this world are mosquitoes. There are human-sized mosquitoes that have like they look human because they take the guise of whoever is like your heart's desire or whatever is your heart's desire, but they basically like lay eggs in pools of water and then drain the life force out of people and then feed that to their larvae. And they're like, Ryoko Kui has such inventive, like, I don't know how she comes up with this stuff. Like I want to be inside her brain when she's like, how can I reinvent this monster? Let's make changelings into like a mushroom ring where the spores transform people into other things. And it's so good, and it's like it starts as this funny cooking manga, and you're like, well, it's a cooking manga with a fantasy shtick, and then it turns into this epic fantasy with like social commentary and like it commentates on the fact that how long-lived races like elves and dwarves, how they have more social currency because they live longer. It actually addresses things like that. And it's like it's so good. I think me and Maya both have been like, when we first started this, we were like, yeah, it's fun, and we weren't expecting it to be like so well written and fantastic. And also, it's one of the most diverse mangas I've ever read in terms of various body types, ethnicities, levels of ability. For example, this character here is like half blind, and it actually affects his depth perception and how he can use magic. Like, he doesn't always aim the best, and he doesn't like stuff like that. It's just like, please read it. It is great. It is fantastic. And
you always came to me with that, and I'm not super keen on like the monster aspect, but yeah.
I tempt you. It is so good. It is so good. The humor is fantastic, and it's just great. And the other thing that I'm currently reading is Realm of Ash by Tasasuri. I'm pretty much only just begun. I'm on page 20, I think, and yeah, I feel like this is a little bit. I want to say it's a little bit darker than Empire of Sand, because this Empire of Sand basically like starts with a certain kind of status quo, and this starts where the world has eventually, but like the world has gone to shit, and the characters are already in a sort of turmoil. But I'm really excited about this one. And the other thing that I'm listening to on audio is a nonfiction book by Amanda Luddock, which is Disfigured on fairy tales. And it's basically analyzing disability and disfigurement in fairy tales and how that has been historically used as a trope and basically how otherness has always been a kind of key theme in fairy tales. So it's very, very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, that does sound interesting.
And the audio is very good.
I feel like that's something I might have heard about on Jen Campbell's.
That's where I first
Oh, is that
heard
where you
about
heard?
it.
Okay, yeah, it's like totally her niche right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I first heard about it, and it's available on Scribd, so that's where I'm also listening to it.
Cool. Di?
So I'm currently between books. So I finished 2 pretty recently. The first was a contemporary romance called Happy Endings by Thien Kim Lam. And then, which it was fine. It needed better editing. Like the sentence structure, like the plot was fine, the characters were fine, but the sentence structure was just very choppy, and it read like it didn't get good editing. It's like I'd probably read another book by this author because she does a good job of like setting and like the community around the main characters, but just the editing was so like not good.
Oh.
Which is surprising for Avon. Like I'd expect that from Berkeley, but so I read that and it was fine. And then I read the new Becky Chambers, which was fantastic. I loved it so much.
Oh, you read it?
You have it!
It's very good. I actually filmed a review of this just before we started.
Oh my god.
I really want to know.
want
Like, okay, so my question is it feel at all similar to her previous novella, To Be Taught and Fortunate? Completely different?
It is very different.
Okay.
So it is fairly. I've seen it described as slice of life, and for me, it very much felt like the main character Dex was undergoing a millennial quarter life crisis.
Okay.
Because like they've become this tea monk and they're a very good tea monk, and you know they make people like they give people space to be listened to and be comforted, but they're like, I'm not finding purpose in my work, and I know I should be finding purpose in my work, so I'm just gonna say fuck it and run into the wilderness, and I encounter a robot. Like it very,
I want to read
I want to read this.
yeah. So like. Yeah, it, to me, it very much read like Dax was going through that millennial quarter life crisis, and for me, it was very relatable.
This reminds me, I need to go and check my library's catalog to see if I can put a hold on it yet. Because, like,
I mean,
good reminder.
I feel like I've already used at least 1/3 of my disposable income from my first paycheck just by checking what books I want to buy.
Yeah, but like the first sentence of the, like not the epigraph, but the actual book is, sometimes a person reaches a point in their life when it becomes absolutely essential to get the fuck out of the city.
Oh my. Oh, I need
like,
that.
Like
that doesn't
Wayfarer series yet, so like I don't know how that evolves, but this does read very differently than To Be Taught if Fortunate. It's like I said, much more slice of life. It's very much set, because there is going to be a sequel. It's set up so you get the further adventures of Dex and Mosscap.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
if that isn't a first sentence that really like draws you in, I don't know what is.
Yeah, like I read that first sentence, I'm like, oh, okay.
So it's gonna be like this, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, but like, oh God, where was it? I like hardly ever put tabs in my book. Yeah, but like at one point, Dex says, I thought if I can just do that, if I can do it well, I'll feel okay. And guess what? I do it well. I'm good at what I do. I make people happy. I make people feel better. And yet I still wake up tired, like something's missing. And it's just like,
God, yeah. That speaks straight to the millennial heart.
Yeah, I highly recommend this. This was
man, I need to get that.
I
Also,
have
the
it on
cover
the
of that.
library now.
Also, the cover of that book is probably like my favorite Becky Chambers cover that she's gotten.
It's beautiful. The artist has done some really amazing covers lately. It's Fei Ruan. They did Melinda Lowe's Last Night of the Telegraph Club. They did the upcoming Treasure Island remix that's coming out. Clash of Steel by C.B. Lee. Like, they've done some amazing covers recently.
That is definitely the best American cover that Becky Chambers has had so far. Yeah, I'm very happy for that. Like, who came up with that Wayfarer's design?
There's
sorry.
a reason why I buy the UK edition.
Yeah, same. The UK editions all the way. I know people who really like the US covers as well. And I mean, I don't like the US covers, like, they're not bad in a sense, but I don't think they're good covers for that series.
Right.
They do a very misleading job of talking about or like conveying what the books actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel like actiony sci-fi pulp more than like socio commentary.
Yeah,
things.
and I think the UK covers do a better job of it because they capture that like sense of like being a small part of the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
They're better expressing that emotional aspect of it, I think.
Yeah, that whole thing, like what it feels like to be a tiny thing against the whole vastness of space.
We have a descent though. They convey well.
I mean, here's like that's the thing. Like, I think cover designs invoke different things in different people. Like, it depends on also your own taste.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't tell anyone that their opinion is wrong for liking the covers because it just goes to show that they have a different taste and the cover speaks to another aspect. Which I think
covers are a great example. I mean, Bane has an incredibly distinctive design for pretty much everything they publish. I tend to think it's very ugly, but it's distinctive, and there are people that they look at it and they know exactly what they're going to get. So it's great advertising.
Yeah. The Vorkosigan covers in particular.
I am a little bit salty about the bad covers for one of my favorite authors, but...
love to get physical copies of the Vorkosigan books because I finally finished reading the series this year and I love it and I want physical copies, but I hate the covers so much.
I mean, the Faithful and the Fallen series has at the same time one of the most boring cover designs ever. It just like reads as this is your standard dude bro fantasy with a weapon on each cover, but I'll be damned if it also doesn't show exactly the type of series this is. All about like that military fantasy that's basically a sausage fest for the most part. And in that sense, it does exactly what it's meant to be. But as a person who liked the first book, and there are so many things to draw from in that first book to give a really interesting cover design. I just can't fathom why they went for the boring weapon on the cover that every single epic fantasy series has.
Marketing. Yeah. Anyway, Dai, if you're looking for any of the nicer Bujold books, look into the Nesfa Press editions. Not the entire series is in those editions, but they are much higher quality, different cover art, hardcover editions, especially of the earlier books in the series. So,
I mean, speaking of nice editions, did you see the memory called Empire Subterranean Press edition, illustrated by Victor Nye? I wanted it so bad. It was like I linked it to a group chat and 5 minutes later I went back and it was sold out. And I was like, no!
With Subterranean Press, I pretty much can only really afford like their novellas or like some short story collections because like they're beautiful, but they're so expensive.
This is why I say I've got a $50 cutoff point.
Yeah, the cheaper edition was $125 and I was like,
I wanted it so bad I couldn't justify it though, especially because the original cover, like the non-collector's edition, is very striking and pretty to begin with. Yeah, but they did the same thing with A Master of Jinn, but they're going to bundle it with the novella and the novelette, and that is exactly the all-in-one packaging that I really wanted for that series.
Oh man!
And it was like $175.
Oh no!
And I had just bought the first, generic printing that came out, and I tried so hard to justify it. I just couldn't.
Yeah, I basically, like, I can't. Here's the thing, like, I paid £80 for Folio Society edition of Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, so I can't really, like, I've already missed the boat on the whole cut-off thing. Like, it, like...
Yeah.
I've already gone the deep end. Except now that Folio Society has decided that they are no longer going to ship to Finland because of the Brexit thing and the new customs and tax things.
Oh, were they based on the UK?
Yeah.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah, Folio Society is based on the UK. There was a long list of countries that they no longer ship to because of the new tax and customs regulations and shipping regulations. So I need to talk to Joe about becoming my Folio Society smuggler mule to continue getting my hands on various editions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Brexit has ruined everything.
I know. And it gives other countries similar ideas.
It's particularly terrible for small businesses who don't have the capacity or the numbers to, like, I don't know. I heard about this from some of, like, the indie yarn dyers who are based out of the UK, and that they said they were too small to qualify to, like, use, like, software or something to help them out with all the shipping.
Yeah, I think Lola from Third World Yarn said that if you are a customer outside the UK, you have to now make, like, she has a custom Etsy thing, like you can't order from her straight from her website.
Yeah.
You have to order from Etsy because, like,
yeah, it
sucks. Sucks. So, Rachel, what are you reading?
Oh, I'm reading all the things. I just started book 9 in the Foreigner series by CJ Cherry. This is Deliver. I'm buddy reading this with a friend, and it's so good, but I can't really talk about the series much because I'm like 3 trilogies in at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but it is an excellent science fiction series with a lot of, like, good in-depth alien psychology and cultural and societal stuff going on. So yeah, it's fantastic. I was rereading The Physicians of Vilnock by Bujold. That's the one of the Penrick and Desdemona novellas. So I just got the Subterranean Press hardcover, so I decided to reread it. And now I've started on The Assassins of Thassalon, which is like a full-length novel.
I checked out the first Penrick and Desdemona novel. My library, like, weirdly has the hardcovers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my library is, like, very odd because we're a small library system, but, like, they will randomly have Subterranean Press stuff.
My library has too, and I don't really know why. Maybe they get, like, starred reviews in Publishers Weekly or something, and so it goes on the buy list.
Yeah, I don't know, but I checked it out. So it's on. My library is finally open for browsing again, so I now have a ton of library books that I need to read.
I mean, I need to ask, if a person who is not really into, like, military fantasy, military sci-fi, but wanted to try something by Bujold, where would a person like me start with Bujold?
Shards of Honor or The Warrior's Apprentice.
Yeah. So I would say with the Vorkos again, like parts of Shards of Honor do not age well. But I think reading Shards of Honor and Barrayar is good because I think Cordelia is such a force in the books, even like her presence. I think getting a sense of like who she is and where she came from is important. And also
that backstory is so important for the rest of the series. Yeah, she's
also the shopping trip in Barrayar.
Oh my god, I was just about to say, like, read Shards of Honor because it is good, but mainly so that you can go straight into Barrayar and get the thrill that, oh my god, she freaking did it feeling with the shopping scene.
I'm
gonna write that down.
Like, I would sacrifice my life for Cordelia.
I literally put the book down and cheered. I was so happy.
So, Shards of Honor, you say?
Yeah, so there was a bind up that Bane did of both Shards of Honor and Barrayar that was called Cordelia's Honor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just get the bind up if you can.
I will say too, the audiobooks, I do enjoy them. I listened to the last half of the series on audiobook.
I mean, my library might actually have the bind up. Let's see. I mean, I might as well look at it right now.
The weird thing about Bujold is that she's never been consistently published outside of the US, as far as I'm aware. She's spoken before. She's had a lot of issues with being published in the UK market, and she doesn't even try anymore. Mm-hmm. So I know, like Joe, for example, he had a lot of problems getting hold of the books. I think he might have gotten the ebooks when she re-released them all as ebooks, and I think that made them available in the UK for the first time ever.
Okay, I see that my library does have a copy, and it's reported missing. So some asshole has taken it. But I suspect that if I put a hold on it, they will actually buy a copy, because that's what my library usually does.
Beckett, you are totally right about the Warrior's Apprentice. I mean, I think it starts out like at a military installation, and then Miles just completely goes off the rails and invents his general personality or whatever. And yes.
Is this like a dude failing upwards?
No, it's like, I would not say Miles is a dude failing upwards.
No, he has a very unique skill set. So yeah, I think he pretty much is physically unable to be in the military as normal, but he gets to be like the investigator and the spy and the person who goes on the side journey. So I think a lot of the stories that focus more on Barrayar and like the Barrayan culture and society and stuff, they tend to be a bit more of the military SF because of their social structure and all.
Well, if I start reading them in the near future, you will hear my thoughts about them accordingly. I
need to reread them so badly.
I read Gentleman Joel. That was the book I listened to on my drive back up from California, and it just made me, for me at least, it was a very good series ender, because it like brought a lot of things full circle, and it was a series ender, but I think it felt to me like if she wanted to return to that world, she set it up where she could, but with new characters.
And she's fantastic about doing that with pretty much anything that she writes. She's very good at just picking these like individual stories, and she can fit them together in whatever way she wants. There's always room to come back and tell another story, but you still get that satisfaction of an end as well. Yeah.
I love Cordelia.
I mean, I just recently finished reading binged the entirety of the Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb in the span of 1.5 months. That's like 1,000 pages per book. It's like I just got so hooked that I couldn't put it down. And I was just like, I was sending messages to Maya, and when Maya stopped responding, I was sending messages to like my other friends and being like, hear me out, these are my theories. I'm like, please. And it was just such a good time. Well, in the last book there's a scene in the last book that I personally don't think that was entirely necessary, and it was actually kind of traumatizing to read about. Content warning for sexual assault. I don't need a literal 4-page description
of
someone getting that done to them. So it's like, that was hard. Like I was reading that scene and my face was just scrunched up and I was like filled with rage, and my partner walks past me and it's just like, okay, are you okay? And I'm like, no, because it was so like kudos to Robin Hobb for writing a scene that actually makes you feel incredibly disgusted, and like it makes you feel awful. And the aftermath of that scene, when you have different characters pondering over it and stuff, feels equally horrible because it feels so true to real life, with all the like victim blaming and not believing victims and trying to make excuses for the person who did the thing. So it was so frustrating to read as in terms of like wanting justice and then not quite getting it.
Yeah.
But it's also so true to real life, and that's probably what made me so angry about it.
It's not escapist. Yeah.
Definitely not. But I would also say that whole trilogy is not very escapist. Like, I still can't believe that no one mentioned to me that it's a full-on chattel slavery narrative, and I had to find that out myself, and I was like, wow, this goes full into all the gruesome details, and everyone is just high seas adventure and magic, yay! And
someone wanted to know what the kitty's name was. This is Luke.
And he's the best.
Yeah, well, he was like, Mom, I was comfortable. And his sister Leia is sleeping on the floor behind my computer because she does not want to deal with on-camera shenanigans.
Is it still very hot there?
No, Rachel and I were talking about this before we went live, but it is thankfully not. We were back to our normal summer weather, which is in Fahrenheit, like low to mid 80s. And so Celsius, that's like high 20s, low 30s.
Okay.
Yeah. For folks who came who weren't here last time, I was like physically melting because I was trapped in the heat dome in the Pacific Northwest, and it was the most miserable experience.
Yeah. Glad that is over. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, but
I mean,
the really terrible weather patterns are here to stay now.
I mean, we have been enjoying the 32 Celsius weather over here, and as a Finnish person, I am not made to withstand that sort of weather. I have been just a melting puddle of goo.
Yeah, I'm probably over the winter going to invest in like a portable AC or a swamp cooler. I don't want to do it now because everyone is price gouging.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping it won't be if I see it getting bad again, I might just honestly book a hotel room for a couple of nights with my cats. If I can get away.
I mean, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
And with hotel rooms, you get cleaning as well.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well, do we want to talk about what we've been watching recently?
Sure. Rachel, do you
About the Nevers.
So since our last live show, me and Rachel watched the entirety of what is currently available of the Nevers, and created by Joss Whys-Sticks, who has happily been ousted of the project. So next season we'll have a different main showrunner, thankfully. But despite his unfortunate involvement in the series, it has actually been one of the best things I have watched in recent memory. It was so good. My only complaint is that there are some interesting pacing and time issues between episodes where you're like, okay, where are we time wise?
Yeah,
but in terms of
big time jump in between two of the episodes, and we were very confused for a little while. What happened? Like, this character who was just introduced in the previous episode is now working with the main characters. When did that happen? Yeah. It was a bit odd.
So you really have to pay attention to all the dialogue, because the characters will mention things, and then you're like, oh, so we're now in this time, or this much time has passed. But in terms of characterization and the way the world is set up, it was so well made. And also the costuming, so deliciously good. I think
Raya is keeping a list now of everything they want to make.
I have now a dedicated folder for reference materials per character, where I have just screenshotted all possible angles of their outfits, so that I can, especially that split skirt that True wears in the last 2 episodes. I want to make that so bad. And I've been taking screenshots since yesterday.
Funnily enough, before we were watching the Nevers, we were watching Farscape together. And I think we could agree that one of our favorite characters in Farscape is Aaron's son, who is played by Claudia Black. We love her.
Claudia Black is best.
She's in the Nevers.
Yes, she is in the Nevers, and I hope we get to see more of her. I hope we get more of Claudia Black, and I think we must. We must.
Not to give away too much to people who haven't seen it, but it would require there being a lot more flashbacks for Claudia Black to be in more of the episodes, and I am here for it. She was pretty much perfect for that role.
And it kind of gave me closure, because seeing Claudia Black in the Nevers, because we kind of have dropped out of watching Farscape, because at least I can't stand Crichton, and Crichton is the main character. That is a dude who is failing upwards, by the way. That is the epitome. Yeah, you see his picture in the dictionary next to failing upwards, next to David Benioff and Dan Weiss. Just saying. But Claudia Black is so fantastic. She is very similar in terms of Linda Hamilton, in terms of having that, exuding that warrior, I can beat the shit out of you energy, no matter what age she is. And it's perfect. Also, give me more aging badass women who can kick the crap out of you, please.
Yep. Yeah, I've been super impressed by that show. When I first encountered it, I was like, this seems like an odd mix. We've got something that's super Victorian, but it's gonna throw in this very strange science fiction alien thing as well, and it's pulling it off very well.
And I want to know everything. Also, Becca talks about cat people on Netflix. I watched the entirety of that thing already, because I watched the first episode accidentally and then the next thing I knew, I had binged the whole thing in one evening. And the person who does the needle-felted cat portraits is Wakuneko. And she is opening another slot for her needle-felted cat portraits. And I'm like, do I really want to put 3,000 euros for a needle-felted cat portrait of my cats that someone is going to painstakingly needle-felt for me in the span of like 6 months? And I'm like, I kind of want to. Like, I was like, I looked after watching that episode, I basically shifted through every photo that I have of Hedda. And I was like, maybe I could get like a needle-felted portrait of her. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, but it's so much money. Oh, but
Save up for it first, and then be ready. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Save up for it like a million years, and then
yeah. If you save up for it and you still want it by that time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. and like my other my other like plan B is to basically get a commission piece from like one of my there's an artist I really like who does like watercolor portraits of pets. And I was thinking that I might commission her to do like a watercolor portrait of Hedda.
That would be nice.
Because I want a sort of like memorial portrait for her. Like, I don't want to call it a shrine, but I have like a memorial shelf for her.
I think memorial is good.
Yeah.
Gwen is saying Claudia Black was good in Dragon Age, and yes, and I'm forever bitter that you can't romance Morgan as a female warden.
Wait, they got Claudia Black to do something and you couldn't romance her.
Yeah, BioWare is being particularly homophobic against me by making me play as a dude if I want to romance her. It's rude.
They're missing out on so much with that. Oh my god.
Claudia Black was Morgan. I never knew this.
BioWare like has this terrible tendency to have female characters, and you're like, wait a minute, I can't be lesbians or bisexuals with her. So it's like Morgan in Dragon Age 1. Aveline in Dragon Age 2, but to be fair, no one can romance Aveline. She's unromanceable, which is terrible. And then Cassandra in Dragon Age 3, in Dragon Age Inquisition, I was crushed when I found out I couldn't romance Cassandra as a female Inquisitor. I was just absolutely devastated. I'm still sad.
I mean, I'm personally upset that I can't romance Cullen unless I make an elf or a human woman. I am personally upset by that.
I do. So Dragon Age is Dragon Age Inquisition is the one where I tend to romance around the most. So like I've romanced Cullen, I've romanced Bull. Bull, romancing him as a dwarf is hilarious. Highly recommend it.
I have basically like, I think I have played the whole campaign of Dragon Age Inquisition through one time. And otherwise, I have just used it as my personal dating sim. And basically, the moment I get to hitch up with someone, I start a new save. Because, like I have, like, the number of times I have romanced Dorian and Bull is kind of ridiculous.
I still need a romance Dorian.
Dorian is fantastic, but I mean, I have a soft spot actually for Blackburn.
I can't do it.
I have a soft spot for him. Like, he's a little bear. Like, he just needs a hug.
I can't do it. So he's the one person. Well, Sarah. I haven't romanced Sarah, but that's just because, at least for me, she's more of like an annoying little sister, and I can't do that.
She's the elf, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried romancing her one time, and I got like, you are making me very uncomfortable right now. I don't think it will work between us.
Yeah. So I haven't romanced her, but So, and I will say part of the reason I don't like I will probably never romance Blackwell is my first playthrough when I discovered that I couldn't romance Cassandra as a woman. The game was being like very aggressive about like getting my character to flirt with him, and I'm just like, I do not want to romance this dude. Like, I'm going to romance the large horned man voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. instead.
Oh my god, always voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. Yes. I never knew that either. Oh my
god. So I will say in terms of like my favorite, like I do have a soft spot for Cullen, but I think either like Josephine or Bowles are my favorite. I have romance Solus, and I will say I will probably use that save for my first DA4 playthrough because I love pain.
Here's the thing. Solus is the one character I have never, ever romanced. I don't want to touch that. No. No.
So my thing is, and this is very much a me thing, Torchwood was a very formative show for me. And as soon as I found out that Solus is voiced by the guy who played Yanto, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna romance.
Great actors did they get involved in this? I don't know anything about this game, guys. I'm just
this game has so many major characters. It has basically a movie's amount of like characters with like major voice actors.
Yeah. Wow. I will say
like you can play that game for like hundreds of hours.
Yeah, it is very easy to spend a very large amount of time playing it. Yeah. I will say, so overall favorite Dragon Age romances, Alistair, God tier. I love Alistair so much. He's a very sweet himbo. Alistair, I do love Fenris in Dragon Age 2. I like most of the Dragon Age 2 romances, actually, except for Anders, because Anders fucking emotionally manipulated my Hawk because he said, if you truly loved me, you would do this. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, you're going in the garbage bin.
Okay, I have to confess something. I have actually never fully played Dragon Age 1 or Dragon Age 2.
I love Dragon Age 2.
I played like half of Dragon Age 1, but I think it just came down to the fact that back then I had a really crappy PC, so I never really got around to like playing it, but I watched playthroughs of both of those games. But Dragon Age Inquisition is the one BioWare game where I have put all my energy into. Like, I haven't played any of the Mass Effect games. I haven't played the first two Dragon Ages, but Dragon Age Inquisition, that's where all the time that I could have dedicated to all those other games has went.
Yeah, you need to play Mass Effect.
I want to, but space zombies. I tried playing the first game, but there were zombie-like creatures in the tutorial, and I got scared.
Becca was like, Mass Effect is like that with voice acting, and it is. Mass Effect has Jiminy Cricket from Once Upon a Time as Kaden. It has Jennifer Hale, who does like so many voices as female Commander Shepard. It has Keith David as Dadmiral Anderson.
Keith David is great. He is, by the way, if you don't know, Keith David is Goliath from Gargoyles and also Dr. Facilier in the Princess and the Frog. He is, and also the cat from Coraline. He is great.
Yeah, so his real name is either Captain or Admiral Anderson, but he's Dadmiral Anderson. Like, when he says at the very end of the series to Commander Shepard, "You did good, child. I'm proud of you," that like broke me the first time I played it. Let's see, who else do they have? They have Martin Sheen shows up in Mass Effect 2 and 3 as he is not my least favorite villain, like in terms of like someone I love to hate, because someone.
Wait, Martin Sheen?
President Bartlett.
Wait, is this the guy who played Aziraphale?
No.
Oh.
Martin Sheen is like
Martin
he's
Sheen is President
in
Bartlett
Grace
in-
and Frankie. He's in West Wing. He's in so many different.
Yeah, and
Like-
his character is like one of like my favorite villains in terms of like I hate him. But he's like someone in Horizon Zero Dawn has like beaten him to the top spot of like.
Also, why I just Wikipedia this? Why didn't I know that Martin Sheen was Spanish?
Yeah, his he changed his last name. It is Estevez, so that's why his
Is Emilio Estevez?
Emilio Estevez is his son.
Wow. No wonder he looks like him.
So I'm trying to think who else in Yvain the Sarah from Chuck is in Mass Effect 2. Billie Eilish's mom is in Mass Effect 2.
That's specific.
It was like a random trivia fact that was floating around on Twitter a few months ago. Freddie Prinze Jr. is in Mass Effect 3. Scott's dad from Teen Wolf is in Mass Effect 3. I can't remember the actor's name. Claudia Black is also in it. Suresh, the woman who plays Aversala in The Expanse, is in Mass Effect 2.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because so BioWare initially wanted her for Flemeth, but there was just scheduling conflicts, and so it didn't happen. And so they were like, "Do you want to voice a character in Mass Effect?"
But if I heard her voice, all I would think is Avasarala.
Yeah, her character is different. Like it is a very different character.
Okay.
But yeah, I love.
But she has a very distinctive voice.
Mm-hmm.
BioWare does a very good job with their voice acting and like who they cast. Like they cast a mix of people. Like in Mass Effect Andromeda, they cast Natalie Dormer as a character. You sadly cannot romance her.
I mean,
Once
here's
again,
the
what's
thing.
point?
Here's the thing. I have seen footage and playthrough of Andromeda, and
I like
aesthetically that game is not my favorite.
I like Andromeda. So here's the thing. With Mass Effect, the original trilogy, yeah, she's the Asari doctor. The original Mass Effect trilogy is this very epic in scope, fighting against the end of the galaxy as we know it. Whereas Andromeda is very, like, for me, is like more found family, more fish out of water, trying to find your place in a new area. And like I think it could have done a better job of like exploring things of like colonization and the impact. But I think if you're going in looking for something that has like good found family feels and good like someone trying to establish themselves, like Ryder and Shepard are very different characters. Like Shepard, like when you meet her, she's very established. She's like up to become a Spectre, which is Spec Ops and everything. Like she's already very established as a person. Mm. Whereas with Ryder, when you meet them, they're in their early 20s. They're just like not supposed to be in the position that they're in, and they're just trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Okay. I mean, maybe I will get to it someday. My fear of the space zombies, though, it was so bad. It's kind of a running joke in our household how many times just playing the game's tutorial will like lose me on the game if there's too many scary things. Mm. And also I can't aim for shit. That's another thing. I have a thing I saw recently that I want to talk about, which is Katla. It's a show on Netflix, and it is an Icelandic science fiction sort of horror series. And it basically takes place in a small town that has been ravaged by the volcanic eruption of Katla, which has been going on for a year. when the series starts. So the whole town is like constantly covered by ashfall, and everyone has to wear like respirators, and the town has basically died out. There's only like a handful of people living there, and then people start appearing from under the glacier, from around the volcano, that have either disappeared or thought to be dead. And there's this mystery surrounding them, like, how are they there? Where did they come from? What do they want? And it was really interesting. It was like 8 episodes. I watched the entire thing in like 2 weeks, I want to say. I will say that it has some questionable takes when it comes to mental health, and how people who are depressed might be, according to the show, be a little bit of a burden on their extended family, which I was like, this is not a take I agree with. But it was really interesting in terms of like plotting and how it deals with the trope of like people who return from the dead. Because I've seen things like there was this Australian show called The Glitch, and then there was The Returned, and which was based on the French show Le Revenant. So I've seen a bunch of shows with this premise of people who are dead come back to life, in a sense, and this has been one of the better ones. I actually wish that there will be a second season, because
I'm always drawn in by this premise because it's like the best mystery ever, but I'm reluctant to watch more because I feel like I've never actually gotten any answers. It gets dragged out for so long, and then by the time you get to season 3, they're on to other questions and they never actually answer. Like,
this actually gives you answers in like I feel like this series, like, it leaves off with the idea that you could get a second season, but it also pretty much is self-contained in those 8 episodes.
Okay.
And it's just fun to listen to Icelandic, because it's so different from like Swedish. Also, a fun fact, one of the characters is Swedish, and because of her, they speak English for a lot of the time in the show. And it's just like fun to hear them switch from Icelandic and Swedish to English and back again, and then still pronounce all the names as if they were speaking Swedish or Icelandic. It's just like it's a very homely feeling, because like that's just what we do. But also like I always take it for like granted, because if it like I would presume that Icelandic and Swedish people would like kind of understand each other, but because they're so closely related, the languages. Yeah. I really hope it doesn't get cancelled.
I watched all of the new Leverage episodes that were out last weekend. It was like going home. It was so good. So this was the revival series called Leverage Redemption. In the States, it's available for free on IMDb TV, and I don't know what the situation is for legal streaming in other parts of the world. But I loved it. I was very sad that Aldous Hodge was only in the first 2 episodes, but that's because he's ridiculously busy, because he's very talented and very in demand. But it was so good. They did a good job of incorporating the new characters, one of whom is played by Noah Wyle, and the other of whom is in the story one of Hardison's foster sisters, who is canonically a lesbian. So very excited about her. And they did a very good job. They've gotten more blatant, I think, about who they're using as the villain of the week. Like, there were a lot of them where it was very, very easy to figure out who they were talking about. Like one is like very clearly Martin Shkreli. One of them is Clearview AI. One of them is, oh God, basically the Sackler family in the first 2 episodes. But yeah, it was very good. It was very be gay, do crime, about capitalism. It made me so happy. And I'm now desperately waiting for the back half of the season.
Is it split in 2 for like a mid-season break or something?
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and I am very happy that Nate is not there because Nate was the worst character on the show.
Is that the actor who kind of got the can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the actor Timothy Hutton, there were rape allegations made against him a few years ago, and he's not the lead writer on the Revival series, but one of the creators, John Rogers, said during the initial run, I think this was during The Librarians when he said this, where he told all the actors, I have an envelope with your death scenes written. If you do something or if anything comes out, I am opening the envelope and deploying the death scene. We will cry, but you will no longer be a part of the show. And so, like, and it looks like he deployed, because he was the one who wrote the premiere. He deployed the death scene.
Man of his word.
Well,
yep.
I mean, if you're gonna threaten people with a death scene envelope, you better be willing to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people in the industry will start talking about how you are full of talk but no show in actual action.
Yeah, so I watched that and I watched Loki.
Was Loki any good?
I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was the only, in my opinion at least, the only MCU show so far that stuck the landing. And I think for me, part of that was, so in both WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the final episode just had like CGI fight scenes. And like with WandaVision especially, it felt tonally wrong compared to the rest of the show. Whereas they didn't have that in the finale of Loki, so I think it worked better for me.
It's interesting because from all the people in the world, one of my co-workers has been telling me to watch Loki and saying it's like it is the best MCU show, and I'm like, wow, really? Well,
yeah, and I think so. For me, part of it is it's very character focused, and then also, and this is one of my big complaints about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is that it knew it was a TV show. And so structurally, like each episode would wrap things up, but then carry it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you didn't get that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And you got that for the most part in WandaVision, except for that really messy final episode. So I think it helped that Loki knew very much what it was. Yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2, although I'm sad that the woman who was executive producing and directing isn't going to be involved in season 2.
Well, do we want to move on to anticipated releases?
Sure.
I could just say to people that watch Kelsey from the Fancy Hat Lady's recent anticipated releases video, because she, I had my Goodreads on the other tab open and I just was clicking yes, want to read. She always finds things that I have never heard of. And I'm like, what's your magic? How do you do it?
I don't know. Philip, you are not the only person who doesn't have much or any interest in the MCU. I'm definitely in that camp of I couldn't be bothered most of the time. I keep waiting for somebody to come along to really pique my interest again. And Loki is the one where I've seen some of like the teasers and gone, well, I mean, I like the actor, I like the character. Do I care enough to catch up on all the context?
I will say they do a good job in the first episode, just kind of giving you an update as to how Loki got there.
Yeah.
So I think if you don't want to watch all the things in the MCU previously, the one thing I would say is watch is Thor Ragnarok, but that's just because Thor Ragnarok is a very good movie.
But didn't Zencho
I know Thor Ragnarok is the last MCU movie that I tried to watch, and I'm an utter failure. I fast forwarded through most of it, and I didn't think it was funny.
I mean,
that's kind of like my litmus test now. Like everybody, I'm like I'm the opposite from everybody else.
I mean, I just feel like Thor Ragnarok is like, if you don't like the type of humor that Taika Waititi does, you're not gonna like it, and that's okay.
I was surprised because I like Taika Waititi. That's why I watched the movie. I don't know.
I mean, I dropped out of the MCU after Endgame, and I it wasn't even that I got burned, but it's just like I feel like I have MCU burnout just from watching so many of the things that I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. I have the same thing with Star Wars, actually. Like, I watched so much things, and it's sort of like the longer you spend in a franchise, like it starts to feel like you are getting diminishing returns. And I still have high hopes for Mandalorian, though, because like that is the thing that has like consistently given me much joy.
Yeah. Okay, back to anticipated releases. Sorry, I kind of derailed us there, but anyway. The thing I'm really looking forward to is coming out next month, I think, is the Spirits Abroad collection by Zencho. Because it is, I mean, it was released before, but this is like an expanded edition with like 9 more stories, and it's coming out from Small Beer Press. And I'm like, oh, gimme.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to the new Silvia Moreno Garcia novel.
It was the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thriller. Yeah. That is one, like, I want to read it because Silvia Moreno Garcia, but it's kind of, I think it's supposed to be like a noir thriller type of thing. So I'm going to get it from the library first. Just to see. But I love her range. Like she writes all across genres. It's awesome.
Yeah. The other thing I'm looking forward to, and it isn't like a new release, but for the 25th anniversary of Sabriel by Garth Nix, they're re-releasing it in hardcover as well as re-releasing paperback versions of the original Old Kingdom trilogy with the original covers.
Oh, you're joking.
I am not joking.
Oh my god, I need a link.
I am pre-ordering. Let me pull up Bookshop since right now I'm in my indies ordering page.
Yes. I had not heard about this.
I knew about the 25th anniversary edition of Sabriel because I had seen Garth Nix post about it, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to get the 25th anniversary edition because I love Sabriel so much. Like, that series was a huge formative read for me. I'd put it in our private chat. With the whole box set. Like, that series was so formative for me. I actually have paperbacks of the original mass markets with the original Dylan covers because I love them so much and I refuse to get rid of them. And now I'm just like, but I could rebuy the series and have it be new and shiny. And it's just like,
oh my gosh.
So,
yeah.
I
loved the original cover art so much. It was so distinctive. I got them all from the library, and it just, yeah.
Dark Waters by Catherine Arden is coming out next month.
Oh, I'll have to put a audiobook or a hold on that. I listened to the audiobooks of it, and they were good.
What is it called?
Dark Waters by Catherine Arden.
It's her.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was something else. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else is coming out. There's at the end of August is the next Mercenary Librarians novel by Kit Rocha, which I'm looking forward to. Like I am planning on buying stuff in August, but I feel like in terms of like new releases, it's a little bit dead because it's mostly like me potentially rebuying the Old Kingdom book.
Yeah, I'm also like there. Like the new Silvia Moreno Garcia is like the only one that I can really see in August.
It's a little far out, but I think it's in September. Mary Roach's new book is coming out. That's that's a nonfiction book about what is it, like when wildlife meets human laws or something like that. I don't know. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, I'm trying.
There's also like the new Courtney, was it Courtney Summers, who wrote the Sadie? There's a new book by her coming out as well.
Oh, you know what else is coming out next month?
No, not her. Courtney Gold. Sorry about that.
Lucy Parker is coming out next month. Battle Royal. It's like enemies to lovers, Great British Bake Off, competing to who's making a cake for a royal wedding. I love Lucy Parker a lot, and I'm really excited for this. I think, let's see, there's is this next? Yeah, so there's an YA novel that I've asked the library to buy called Bad Witch Burning by Jessica Lewis. And it's basically about a young witch who has a business where people pay her to talk to their deceased loved ones. And she accidentally raises someone from the dead. And so she's like, oh, well, this would earn me more money. It's described as for fans of Us and the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So I asked the library to buy it so I can see if it's something I want to own, but it sounds like interesting.
Okay, there's wait. No, I lost it. There is the sequel to Lobizonia, which is called Cazadora by Romina Garber. That's coming out.
I need to read that book, or Lobizona.
And then there's Redemptor by Jordan Ifueko. That's also coming out. And that cover looks stunning.
Isn't the first book Raybearer?
Yeah.
It's a Lodestar nominee this year.
It is a Lodestar nominee. It wasn't included. I don't think it was included in the packet, so I'm waiting.
I gotta go look.
It was included, I think.
Okay.
I'm pulling it up.
I'm waiting for my library hold to come in. Let's see what else.
Yeah, it's in the packet, but it's you have to get it through a NetGalley link, which I hate.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do a library copy. I don't want to.
Yeah.
What else? I feel like that's it for my August. Oh, there's a new Rick Riordan Presents book coming out. It's Palo Santiago and the Force of Nightmares by Taylor K. Mejia. I liked the first book, so I think I'm going to get that one as well.
I've kind of lost track of the books coming out in that line.
There's a lot. Like there's going to be a second Yoon Ha Lee book in that line. I was looking on his website for something else, and yeah.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it's the sequel to
I didn't love Dragon Pearl, but I would read a sequel.
Yeah,
because
it's Yoon Ha Lee.
I feel like I'm constantly losing track of what is coming out when, because people are talking about things and reading arcs of books that are coming out in like after 3 months, and then I'm like, I'm thinking that the book is already out because people have been showing it in videos and Instagram posts and stuff, and then it was the arc.
Okay, so it's called Tiger Honor.
Yeah.
It's slated for January.
Yeah, I'm looking
So
forward
far.
to that. I did enjoy Dragon Pearl, so I'm very interested to see what comes next. Oh, and
Becca, She Who Became the Sun is one of my most anticipated books of the year, so I am definitely getting that one to read soon.
Yeah, that one I'm looking forward to as well. I've heard very good things about it.
Yeah, it's basically supposed to be like alternative historical fantasy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me for like stuff that I would pre-order because I'm so excited about it. But I got to get on those Old Kingdom books now.
I mean, Old Kingdom, is that? Wait, who is that by?
That's the Sabriel and the sequels by Garth Nix.
Oh damn! Damn!
Oh, I'm so excited for.
I have basically just like I have Sabriel and I have Abhorsen, and those are the only ones that I have. I've bought them secondhand, and they're in those just the hardcovers with the symbol on the cover. Mm-hmm. But I've seen the original covers with the art, and they look just so nice.
They're so good, and like those books, I think, along with Tamara Pierce, were like some of the very formative fantasy influences on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to read those because like many of my friends who have read the Sabriel books in like Finnish have been raving about them and just telling me like, you need to read this. And I have promised like I will at some point.
This series of amazing pieces of art that are the Gates of Death, and I actually have that. I use them as my computer backgrounds. So like this computer, the background is the 9th gate.
Yeah, I remember seeing it's called Kuolemanportti in Finnish, which is basically Death Gate. And I saw those everywhere back when I was a child, like not child, a teen. They were everywhere in the library, and those covers were everything. But I never read them. Like I just feel like sometimes I wonder what could have been if I wasn't enticed by David Eddings. If some other fantasy author would have been the one.
It is so weird because I feel like I joke that so much of like my taste is the fact that I was raised by lesbians, but like it is very much the fact that I was raised by lesbians and they were very much like, we want you to read female authors, Diana. We don't really do male authors in this house. Like they gave me Tamara Pierce. They gave me I think they gave me Sabriel. It was just like my fantasy influences were just so. I mean, Sabriel's written by Garth Nix, who's a dude, but like Tamara Pierce and Patricia C. Reed with the Enchanted Forest Chronicles were just so formative for me. And I went from Tamara Pierce to Mercedes Lackey. And then I
have always wondered why I completely missed out on Mercedes Lackey. I've known her name my whole life. I cannot remember a time before knowing who Mercedes Lackey is, but I've only read one book by her, and I read it when I was an adult. It's like, how did I miss out on that?
Like, that's the thing, like, you have that whole canon of stuff in your native language that's so formative for, like, genre writing. Like, I only experienced that through translation, and I had to find out about it myself because my parents weren't reading stuff like that. But
I feel like it was also influenced by my friends because my friends like also went through Tamara Pierce phases. I was like the local Tamara Pierce dealer at my elementary school. And then like my good friend in junior high, Sarah, we went through a Mercedes Lackey phase around the same time. We both read Melanie Ron, sequel to Mage Born Trader Wynne. We just like read very similar books by female fantasy authors. And like, I didn't even know who Hal David Eddings was until a few years ago.
Same.
Oh, lucky you. I mean, it's just one of those things that got translated. Like another author that I really liked a lot was Tad Williams, who was also translated. His The Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy was translated as a 12-book series in Finland. It was like split into 12 books.
I'll say, well, to be fair, he doesn't know how to write a short book, so they really are kind of like 12 condensed into 4 or whatever.
The covers in those 12 books, I think Finland just took the editions that Sweden was doling out, because Sweden put out the 12-book series first, and then Finland kind of took the same format and the same covers, but the covers were like stellar, like pure 90s fantasy cheese. But like I read a lot of like female authors as well, but like one of my favorites was Merja Jalo, who wrote like this Horse Girl series, which was basically a closed circle murder mystery series with horses. It was basically it was a certain friend group that all hung around the same like riding stable, and then they would all have adventures, and there would always be some sort of mystery or murder that was happening, and they had to figure it out, and there was horses. And it was basically like Nancy Drew, but with horses.
This reminds me, I was also very much a horse girl growing up, so I read like a lot of Saddle Club, a lot of the Thoroughbred series.
I mean, back when I was a kid, like my sister, who's a lot older than me, she wanted to be like a professional like horse, like what's the word, like a trainer. And she would do these exams where she would like draw pictures of anatomical horses and draw like, I would have to name parts of the horse and parts of a saddle and bridle, and she would have like these exams and she would grade me. And it was like these handmade exams that she made for me to fill out, and then she would grade them. Like,
oh yeah, Ramsey, Susan Cooper for the win. Diana Wynne Jones is God, basically, and Connie Willis. Yes, absolutely.
I think I only read one Diana Wynne Jones.
I only read Howl's Moving Castle.
Diana Wynne Jones is the best. I mean, I will be the first to admit that in some of her, especially like older works, there can be some issues. Like when I was rereading like the Crestomancy books, which is her pretty much most well-known books behind Howl's Moving Castle, I was like, there's fat phobia. There's a lot of fat shaming. I
mean, some authors wrote decades after her and still included blatant fat phobia in their
but when she's good, she's amazing. Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. The Animorph series were very formative for me.
Animorph. Did either of you ever read the Replica series?
No. Oh, Robin McKinley was another formative one for me. Replica
was basically the young adult version of Orphan Black.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It basically it followed this, like it was literally, it followed this girl who found out that she was a clone, and she there are like each volume follows her with a new clone and stuff, and about this like mystery trying to find out where the clones come from and stuff. And it's basically Orphan Black, but like written for a much younger audience, and unfortunately without lesbians.
Oh my god, I cannot believe I forgot to mention Diane Duane and the So You Want to Be a Wizard series.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I forgot that.
Still love them. Yeah.
Though
I still need to read Mercedes Lackey though. I have never read her, but I have bought a bunch of her Valdemar books because of the ponies on the covers. And I've just been collecting all the pony covers.
So I haven't read them, most of them recently, but especially in her older ones, massive content warning for sexual assault.
Oh yeah, I have heard.
Yes.
I have heard.
I will say though, By the Sword, which is Carowin's book, holds up. I reread it either last year in 2019, and it still is very, very good. So she had this initial series, The Oathbound, following Carowin's grandmother, Kethri. Oh yeah, Vaniel went through the fucking ringer. Kethri and Tarma, and the first book I tried to reread it several years ago, and I almost couldn't get through it because there was just some really not great stuff in it that I had completely forgotten about. But Carowin is Kethri's grandmother, and Caro is just this very, very interesting character. I love her a lot.
Oh yeah. Okay, a movie based on Dark Lord of Durkholm. Somebody come on unmuted.
Let's see. Man, I read a lot of the Dear America Royal Diaries books.
Anyway, what I was saying is Dark Lord of Durkholm would be an awesome movie. Like, isn't that kind of a duology with Year of the Griffin? But like, take that and mash it up with all of the hilarious commentary on fantasy tropes from Tough Guide to Fantasyland. Like, I can just see that playing out in my head, like the narrator describing all of the cliches. I would be into that.
Oh man, I'm just watching this box set of the Old Kingdom, and I'm like, I want it, my precious. Also, speaking of my precious, did you hear about the Andy Serkis audiobook that's coming from of the Hobbit? Of the Lord of the Rings.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to that.
I heard the little like preview snippet where he was switching between Gollum and Smeagol and just like his regular narrator voice, and I was like, I need this. Maybe this will finally entice me to reread Lord of the Rings after all these years.
Yeah, I was looking at my collection because I think at some point I want to do a bookshelf tour after I get another bookcase and reorganize things. And I was looking at them, I'm like, I could get nicer versions of Lord of the Rings, but also like I don't know when I'm gonna reread them, and I feel like my ratty decades-old mass market paperbacks are doing just fine.
Wait.
Yeah, the copies of Lord of the Rings that I have are the ones that were released when Fellowship came out.
Oh, are the movie cover paperbacks?
Well, because my grade 6 class, we like chose to read a book and like talk about it. So I chose The Hobbit. And so my mom's got me the collection that they did, like the movie tie-in edition. And they're ratty and like they've been through a lot, but you know, I still have them. They're still not falling apart.
So I have this thing where I specifically wanted a copy of Lord of the Rings that is the full like bind up of the 3 volumes, because this is the Finnish edition.
Oh, that's different.
Of Lord of the Rings. That is supposed to be Sauron. True men wear fuchsia. That is the masculine Lord of the Rings with the crown and the fuchsia cape. The true fashion icon. Just look at him. All the clouds and angelic ring, but this is like the standard Finnish edition that I grew up with. And then this is the one that I got in English. And it is kind of gorgeous. It's from the 70s, I think.
See, I've never seen that edition before.
And behind it's like this.
No.
It's so cool.
My
I mean, the spine is
omnibus.
boring, but like otherwise it's...
My omnibus is the big hardcover Alan Lee illustrated one. It's beautiful.
Oh, Alan Lee.
Oh,
When I was in middle school, I want to say, I always bought the Alan Lee illustrated Lord of the Rings yearly wall calendar.
yeah.
And then after the year, I would cut up the illustrations to use as posters on my wall. The level of nerdiness, because on the other side of the room, my sister would have things like New Kids on the Block and John Bon Jovi. And then my side of the wall was all like Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons and horse posters. You know, to each their own.
Yep. Well, we're getting close to 2 hours, so do we want to wrap up? I don't know if you meant to be muted, Diana, but
Sorry, I'm muted because there's lawn mowing going on
Okay.
inside my apartment. So they're on a break, so I can go first and then
yeah, let's talk about what we're going to be doing next. What's next for everybody?
For me, I will be having the review for the new Becky Chambers as well as a Q2 book haul.
For me, I will try to have the Contradictions book tag filmed to release this next week, and then I hopefully will also be doing Delicious in Dungeon manga review to put up to entice more people to join me. But yeah, I'm trying to get back into doing like one video a week now that I'm getting used to the whole work thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. My next video is probably going to be a quarterly stats check-in, which is not like the most exciting thing for everybody. I really need to catch up on doing some wrap-ups because I've been reading a lot in July. So yeah. I should probably also challenge myself to like finally read A Desolation Called Peace. That might end up being like my one big review video of August if I can stay on track.
I should do that as well. Should we buddy read A Desolation Called Peace, because I've had it on my shelf for so long, and I should.
I am gonna reread A Memory Called Empire first. Like I hope to get that done before the end of
just hit me up when you're ready to begin, because I have the book. I just need some grand old peer-to-peer motivation to get it done.
Totally used buddy reads this year to motivate me to get through some things, and it's
seriously.
Yes. Yep. Well, I think that is pretty much it for us this month. Thank you everybody for showing up and talking to us in the chat. This has been really fun this month.
And next month, I think we're back to my channel.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Back to our regular schedule. Yes. So.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, we'll say goodbye and thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.